Networking and marketing made simple is for you, the business owner who has a product, a service, or a message that you believe in. My name is Scott Aaron, and each week we'll take a behind-the-scenes look into the real-world marketing and networking tactics and strategies for getting what you have in front of you to a lot more people. Thanks for spending time with me, and now let's get started. Super excited for you to hear today's amazing episode. But before I jump into that, I have so many people that reach out to me and ask, how do I start a podcast? What do I need to do? And what you guys listen to, wherever you're listening to this from, if you haven't heard about Anchor by Spotify, in my opinion, it is the easiest way to make a podcast. It's one of those things where I jumped into it because it has everything that I needed in one place. And that's what I loved about it. The tools that allow you to record and then edit your podcast from your phone or your computer, which is so accessible. But also, when you actually host your podcast on Anchor like I do, you can distribute that podcast on all the listening platforms: Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Breaker, all the different big ones that people are listening to. It's all from here. And it's everything that you need to make a podcast in one place. And the other great thing is, and why I always suggest it to people, it's absolutely free. And this is the easiest thing to do. All you have to do is download the Anchor app on Apple or on your Android, or go to anchor.fm. And that's how you get started. It's that simple. So if you have a message, if you have something really important you want to share, getting your podcast out on the anchor.fm platform will get you there. And not even will get you there, you'll be amazed at what could happen. So enjoy today's episode. Hey everybody, Scott here.
And Nancy.
So we have another dual episode, which we haven't done for a while. And when the spirit moves us, we hop on, and if we have a message that we want to share together, then we do that. So what we wanted to talk about today, if any of you saw my training on LinkedIn about a week or so ago, I was talking more or less about some outside the box things, but also things that you should think about when growing an online business. So what we wanted to talk today was about the 3 keys to building your business, not just in 2022, but extending into 2023. What are the things that you really need to have in place or have a foothold on in building a successful online business, because it is ever changing, it's ever growing, and that's what we wanted to deliver with you guys today. So Nancy, number 1 is grow an email list. And this is something that you and I talk about all the time, about the importance of that and how we feel. Yes, some people like Amy Porterfield and other people in that space are always talking about email list building, but you and I really started to hunker down with it over the last 2 years. And, we now have an email list of over 13,000, and it hasn't happened overnight. It took about 5 years, but how important is it for people to really start leveraging their online business, focusing on growing that email list?
Yeah, I would say, this was advice that we heard, years ago. And it's kind of one of those things where it's like, yeah, build the email list. And it just wasn't like the number one priority. And actually being on the other side of it, like you said, now we're up to 13,000 contacts. It is a game changer. Being able to reach those people outside of social media and message, people who are directly, well, number one, excited to hear about the new things that we have going on, but being able to nurture them and, drip on them and provide value and so much more is a complete game changer. So when we talk about the 3 keys, and number 1 being grow your email list, I can't, repeat this enough. If you are not growing your email list yet, or you're not really actively making it a point to grow your email list, start doing it now. Okay. And in fact, even Donald Miller, who he's a personal brand expert, he wrote the book Marketing Made Simple. His rule of thumb was actually a really good goal for you to have as a personal brand or a professional, is to hit 7,500 emails in a specific niche. And it's a big goal. He said, companies might take you 3 years to hit it, or if you invest a lot of money in ads and things like that, you might hit it a lot sooner. But setting a goal for yourself and actually working towards a number, or at least making sure that it's one of your business priorities, is huge, right? You own that email list, right? Other than social media and all different things, right? Facebook could shut you down tomorrow, guys, right? It's considered rented land. So if you want a contact list full of people, again, your ideal clients, your niche, all those, specific people, you got to grow your email list. In fact, I was doing an amazing podcast episode with a marketing expert, Teresa Heath Waring. This was probably about a month ago. And that's exactly what we came back to as well. I said, what is the best advice you would give to any new entrepreneur? And she said, Nancy, all day long, I would tell them all day long, start growing your email list today.
So just to kind of, I always like putting tangible and visual application of things. So as an example, Nancy and I, we have a mastermind called the Expert Authority Mastermind, and we open it 3 times a year, and we only take 10 people at a time. We learned that, through lessons, and when we first opened it, that 10 people is a good, solid number. So just to put some quantified metrics around it, say that, you have an email list of 300, and that's it. And you've grown it to 300, and you just market to the same 300 people, and say that, you need at least 100 people to register for an event of yours that you can extract 10 people from to join a high level program. It could be a course that you're selling. If you're not filling your email list with new people each time, and just as Nancy mentioned, it's important to nurture people like 100%. But in the same aspect, if you're not building on top of the people that you currently have, if that email list is sitting at 300 and it's never growing, you can't expect to hit the numbers. But let me just, talk about our situation. So just say you have 6,000 emails, just as a round number. You have 6,000 emails that you're marketing to. And, these are people that sometimes come to your offerings. They'll show up to a workshop, maybe they'll come to a one-day event, but just say you have 6,000 dedicated people that do take some sort of action in one way, shape, or form. So out of the 6,000 people, you get 300 people to register. So if you look at the percentage-wise of numbers, that's only 5% of your list that has to register for an event to get to 300. That's it, 5%. 95% can skip right over it, bump right over it like you're not even doing anything. 5% sign up. Now you have 300 people in there. Say it's that same metric where you want to close, 10 people. So 300 people, you're talking about 3% of that 300 registrations to hit your goal of 10. So this is why building an email list is so important, because the larger of an email list that you have, the smaller of a percentage you actually have to convert. The smaller of an email list that you have, the larger of a percentage you have to convert, and then it creates more stress and overwhelm, and then you're just stretching too much. So that is just from a quantified metric standpoint, the real importance of growing your email list.
Yeah. And one thing that I wanted to note as well, I think so many people always, when they think of, launching, and they think of, doing special things each month, they don't think of actually growing their email list as one of those like actionable items. But I want to share with you, it is absolutely fine, especially during those months where maybe it's not a great month to, launch a big program. For example, let's say summertime, you got your July, August, June's, you've got your holiday time, December, January, or actually January is pretty good, but December, November, those busy times, you can pick those months to actively and really aggressively promote the growth of your email list. Okay. And that could be through, creating an opt-in and getting people to sign up, right? Give their email address to receive that opt-in. You could do a workshop, right? And not even close anything at the end, meaning not even upsell. You could just do a workshop. And the main goal of that workshop is to collect emails and registrations, right, from that workshop of your ideal clients. So just keep that in mind, right? That you don't always have to be launching and closing a specific product. Building that email list is going to give you more return in the long run. And just like Scott said, right, it is going to be that audience that you're building that you're going to be able to really close and market to.
So the second thing that we wanted to talk about, and this is also something that I did in a LinkedIn training, and I consider these kind of like outside the box lead generation tactics. So when people think of lead gen, they think of social media, they think of DMing, even email lists or whatever, what have you. But the two things that we wanted to talk about that are kind of outside the box that we feel, no matter how new or how seasoned you are in business in your zone of genius, you should have these things in your tool belt, and they are a book and a podcast. And we can't express enough to you the importance of really understanding the aspect of when you have a book. And I'm very excited because Nancy is literally at the finish line with her first book, and it's how to grow your online business on how to grow
how to grow your personal brand
on social media. Yep. And it's coming down to the finish line. Obviously, you guys know I released my fifth book earlier, and a book actually plays such an important role as a lead generation tool and tactic for your business. Now, a podcast also, like you're listening to this now, this is another great way of how Nancy and I build our list, because people search and look for podcasts to listen to all the time, whether it's Nancy's podcast or my podcast. People are on iTunes, they're on Spotify, they're on Google Podcasts, and they're searching for podcasts in the marketing space, in the online business space. And if you have a nice little call to action at the end of each episode, which is something that is very important and tactful you can do, which is go to my website and you got an opt-in on there. Now your podcast is acting as another lead generation tool, much like your book, Nancy's book that's coming out. My books always have little lead generation tactics in there. Go to my website, download your free profile infograph. So thinking outside the box and kind of setting ego aside and thinking, well, who am I to write a book? Who am I to have a podcast? Anyone in any niche can write a book and can have a podcast, and that means you.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And the investment, right? Taking the time to actually write that book, taking the time to start that podcast and create that content and, do that. The return is huge. Okay. And it's one of those things where maybe you're not going to see it like instantly, but once you create it and you put it out there, it's so much more comes out of it. Okay. And the cool thing is that we don't really often think about is when you create a book, or whenever you create a podcast or different things like that, what you do is you're creating, right, this thought leadership type piece of content. And when you put yourself out there like that, number one, you're seen as a thought leader, and you really get to showcase and share your expertise on the subject matter that you're the expert in. Now, number one, right? So somebody's reading your book and they're like, oh my gosh, Nancy really knows her stuff about whatever. How much more likely is that person to want to reach out or, maybe want to work with, me with certain things? Or, it's happened many times with Scott. He wrote, multiple LinkedIn books, and we still get people who said, I read your book a year ago, or I read your book and oh my gosh, it was amazing. And, it happens all the time, people trickling in. And when you're able to do something like that and have not warm leads, we're talking hot leads who have now spent all this time, right? Your ideal client reading what it is that you wrote and knowing, wow, they really know their stuff. And I definitely need to contact them, if I ever want to build or, do anything in that industry. So I think, that's one thing to keep in mind. And whenever it comes to podcasting, in fact, it was said, this was years ago, whenever I was first learning about the impacts, that podcasting can have, you can actually close higher ticket sales more, using podcasting, because when you have avid podcast listeners, people who are listening to your podcast all the time, right? They start to feel like they know, like, and trust you, right? They're hearing your voice. It's much more intimate, right? Think about that. Somebody plugging in their earbuds. I mean, however you guys might be listening to this right now, but you're hearing Scott and I talk, we're sharing obviously, our insights and, our knowledge and sharing that with you. It's much more personal, right? So when we have something like a mastermind, or we have something like a closer knit program that might be right higher up, it's not like a $49 program, it's a lot more, it's a bigger investment. but you're more likely to actually convert people from books and podcasts for higher ticket items because of these things. So keep in mind, like Scott said, it's kind of like, out of the normal, basics. But having a book or podcast, that's one of the reasons why we focus on that with our mastermind program that we're getting ready to open the doors to. The reason why we focus on that is because we help people become experts in their space. And what is one thing or two things that every single expert, we did all this research. It was really funny looking back years. I told Scott, I was like, what does everyone have in common? Everybody has a podcast and everybody has a book. So, that's why it's so incredibly important and can be huge for your business.
And a signature course. But the other thing is that there's no best time to launch your podcast or write your book. You have to do it when you're not ready to do it. And that's the thing that we've learned in having the mastermind that we have, is that if Nancy and I weren't there with our people, kind of nudging them along and helping them build out the structure of their podcast and launching their podcast, and are you going to do a soft launch? Are you going to do a grand opening? Let's build out the structure of your book, which we're about to do with one of our pods right now. It would never get done. The normal evolution of any online business is just that. You launch your online business. Maybe you have a course or a program, you have an opt-in, you have your website. And then what's the next step? You got to get some notoriety. And two easy ways to get natural PR and free PR is creating a podcast and writing a book. Those are things that you can publicize all the time about yourself. And it's not about bragging on yourself. It's letting people know this is what I have to offer. And it's, as Nancy mentioned, it builds that know, like, and trust. No one buys anything from anyone that they don't know, like, and trust. And having that lead generation tool and that outside the box tool, such as a book or a podcast, is essential. And the third and final thing, when you really want to focus, and I feel like Nancy and I have talked about this on multiple episodes for the last 3 years, is you need to choose one main social media channel as the nucleus of how you're going to get your business out there. Now, before we dive into that, what you have to think about is one thing. Where is my ideal client spending their time? So depending upon your business, they may be spending time on Instagram. They may be spending time on TikTok or Facebook. Now, most of the people that Nancy and I coach and work with are business professionals. They are business coaches. They are business consultants. They are in the business world. So most of their ideal clients, if not all of them, are not just quote unquote hanging out on LinkedIn, but they're networking on LinkedIn. And this is why we still feel nearly 4 years later, we talked about this in 2018, 2019, 2020, 2021, and now we're talking about it again, 2022 going to 2023, LinkedIn needs to be your focus. And there are so many reasons why. But what I can't express to you enough, even though, yes, I've written 3 books on it. It's what I train on. It's what Nancy and I talk about all the time. It is so essential to have a focused social media strategy using a platform like LinkedIn that is geared towards visibility, that is geared towards organic engagement, that is geared towards brand building, that is geared towards lead generation, and having a specific sales process for what you're doing. And we really feel that if people push those chips all in with LinkedIn, finally, maybe you've dabbled a little bit with Nancy and myself. Maybe you've dipped your toes in, the water was too cold, so you jumped out, or you're on that high dive and you look down and you're like, man, that's a long way down. And you're like, and you go back down the ladder again. It's time that you really just take the leap. Because again, what's the worst thing that's going to happen? Something great happens on the other side. But what's the worst thing to happen if you don't do anything? Nothing's going to change.
Absolutely. And it's so funny. Scott's like, choose one, and it's LinkedIn. So we did that work for you. Yeah. So, if you're working with business professionals and you're looking to connect, right, with high quality individuals, who are actually, going to be great leads for your business. I couldn't agree with Scott more, right? Obviously I've worked with many different clients across many different platforms, and LinkedIn just continues to be a powerhouse for forming connections and really generating leads. So the big thing that I want you guys to keep in mind, because very often, right, we always get that question, oh, which platform should I focus on? And should I post on all the, you can obviously post on all the other ones, but like Scott said, you've got to pick one to be what is called your leader, right? It's going to be the one that you're really creating that pivotal content. You're really, those are the people that you're talking to, you're engaging, you're doing all the things on that platform. Meaning, if on LinkedIn, to really fully maximize it, you're posting daily, you're connecting, you're adding connections, you're sending messages, you're doing all the stuff. That's what you're doing, right? So we want you to really get fully involved with LinkedIn. We want you to choose LinkedIn, right, as your lead generation strategy and your social media platform for the rest of this year and the upcoming year. And so that's why we are actually bringing back, so it actually put it on the shelf for a little bit, but we're bringing back the Amateur to Expert LinkedIn workshop. So we're super excited to announce that we're actually going to be doing it at the end of this month. So the last week in September. And we're doing the 5-day training. We're actually kicking it off on Tuesday this year. So that's the only big difference. But if you guys are really ready, right, to start, and I always tell Scott, like it's building out the sales leg of your business, right? It is not just simply, okay, well, I'm going to do this on social media because I should. It's literally building out a place where you're going to be able to generate consistent leads for your business. That gets me excited, right? That is going to be on LinkedIn, and you're going to be able to learn how to do a lot of things using LinkedIn at this workshop. In fact, it's one of our best workshops, our highest attending, best feedback we've ever received. I mean, you guys know Scott's got over 500 recommendations on LinkedIn, but from this workshop alone, we've had people closing sales and actually making some incredible connections. So we are so excited to really be focusing on LinkedIn again on our upcoming workshop.
Yep. So this is our, we only do a couple of these a year. This is the final one we're doing this year. So the information of how to register is in the description of this episode. It's September 27th to October 2nd. Yes, that's 6 days because we always do a bonus day. So Monday is a Jewish holiday, the 26th, and also Taylor's birthday. So we're going to be celebrating. So we're starting it on Tuesday at 8 p.m. EDT. So Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday are from 8 to 9 p.m. EDT, live and recorded. Friday is our happy hour session from 5 to 6 p.m. EDT. And then our brunch sessions are Saturday and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 12 p.m. EDT, Saturday and Sunday. Monday, we're going to be teaching you, or Tuesday, we're going to be teaching you the construct of your profile and how to optimize it. On Wednesday, we're going to teaching you how to build and explode your network. Thursday, we're going to teach you how to message and close more sales calls. Friday, we're going to teach you our content creation strategy on LinkedIn. Saturday, we're going to teach you our 20-minute-a-day routine to get explosive results on LinkedIn. And Sunday is our full open mic Q&A with all attendees. Now, it is live and recorded. The replays will be available till the following Sunday, October 9th. You can binge all you want. Everyone gets a workbook, and there's also prizes given out all along the way just for showing up and participating. So it's our Amateur to Expert 5-day LinkedIn intensive, final one of the year. We would love to see all of you there because we know how impactful it is. So again, the 3 keys to building your business online from 2022 into 2023, really focus on growing that email list, have that book or podcast, or pick one of them. We don't care if you start a podcast or write a book or both. Just pick one, which is going to be an outside-the-box lead generation tool. And then choose that one main social media platform. You can be omnipresent, but choose that one main social media platform. In our eyes, minds, and hearts, it's LinkedIn. So again, check out the description of this episode for how to register for our final LinkedIn workshop of the year. So everyone, we hope you enjoyed today's episode. Please enjoy the rest of your days, and we'll talk to you next time. Bye, everyone. Thank you so much again for checking out today's episode. And if you are listening through iTunes, Spotify, wherever you are, please leave me a rating and review. Let me know what you loved, what you would like to see improved, or ideas you have for future episodes. And if you are interested in taking your business to the next level, don't hesitate to go to my website, www.scottaaron.net, where you can schedule a free discovery call with me, where I can learn more about you, your business, what you're struggling with, and how we can work together. And don't forget to check out my wife, Nancy, and mine our free community on Facebook called LinkedIn Leads for Life. We would love to see you in there. Have a great rest of your day. And thank you everyone for your support. Grateful for each and every one of you.